What the hell is Sauce Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys
That
are from Free Love, man.
What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to South Sports. You're not familiar with South Sports. South Sports, the Houston, Texas Homer Network. But let's get right into it, man. We're going to give you guys just a look around the division as far as the AFC South, the Texans compared to their competition. We got a few gentlemen from the Roundtable joining us this evening, man. Who do we got in the mix tonight?
What's up, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Spitz. What's the deal?
Third Coast Sports TV. Wink is in the building once again.
Wink, what's the motherfucking deal?
What? Wise with Wise Citizen Sports in the mix.
Already wise man in the house. Man, so again, make sure you follow South Sports on all the proper social medias. These gentlemen, links to their channels will be in the description below, so you ain't got no excuse not to go and follow. If you're loving their content, if you're loving their commentary, man, make sure you hit them links. But with that being said, hey, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's stop wasting time. All right, so diving into it, we'll start with the first team. The team that gave the Texans the most fits last year. The Indianapolis Colts. A lot of things have changed with the Colts. A lot of last minute changes, and I think that has kind of upset the division a little bit. Should be very interesting to see how this plays out. But let's go ahead and get the Roundtable's opinions on, the Colts. The Colts this season. Spitz, man, how do you feel about the Colts and what they're going to end up doing this season in the AFC South?
I think the Colts, from a quality standpoint, from a top to bottom, from a roster from the top to bottom, I think they're a much improved team, and I think they might be the team that has probably the most depth out of all the teams in the division. But in saying that, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people because I still see people, even though the departure of Andrew Luck, I've seen a lot of people still pick the Colts to win the division and also do well, and I just don't think they have the horses with Jacoby Brissett. I don't think that he is capable enough to catapult this team to double-digit wins. I'm thinking the ceiling is probably 8-8, and I got them pegged as about a 7-9 football team this year, and I think they're going to end up last place in the division. Even though I think their quality, they got a good offensive line, they have some playmakers on defense, but even though they add a couple playmakers on the offensive end, they just don't have a guy to get them the ball the way that Luck did. And I just don't see him threading the needles in the tight windows, especially when games get close and in shootouts. I just don't think that he's that type of guy. I put him in the same boat as like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Good for a couple stretches of the game, but for a full season, for a full 16 games, I really don't think that he has what it takes to get you, like I say, double-digit wins. So I got them fourth place at a 7-9 record.
I got them fourth place, 7-9. So going from contending for first division, or actually beating us in the wild card last year, to ending up last in division this year. Let's go with Wink. Wink, what are your thoughts, man, when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts? How are you feeling about this team this year?
Man, I think they're a really good team, man. I mean, they got Frank Reich as their head coach. We're seeing what this man did to us in the playoffs, in the second go-round. Hell, the way that the man was only just able to lose by 3 points against us, Luck throws the ball right, we could be talking about a totally different conversation, and we could end up getting swept by the Colts, and they win the division and still do what they do to us in the playoffs. But as it stands for me right now, they definitely got strong on defense. I like the additions of Paris Campbell and Devin Funchess to go along with what they already have in Ebron, Marlon Mack, and everybody else, because Nyheim Hines is a problem, but their O-line is very good. And I think their front seven is going to be able to get some nice penetration. I don't really like their secondary like that. Outside linebackers can be taken advantage of. And I also just feel like, they have better play calling than us as it stands right now. I trust their coach more than I trust ours. But Jacoby Brissett does have some issues, but he is going to be with a team that he's going to be behind the entire time since, he's been in the offseason. So I can't really fault them for that, since he's been able to put in a lot of work with this football team. So as it stands for me right now, I see them being 9-7, maybe 10-6 when the season's over.
Okay. So you feel like the Colts still going to contend? They still going to be a threat even though they've lost Luck. The wise man in the building. How are you feeling about this Indianapolis Colts team, man? A team that gave the Texans a lot of problems last year. Do you see them still being an issue in this division?
I don't think there will be an issue for the Houston Texans this season. I have confidence in Deshaun Watson. I have confidence in this offense this upcoming season. However, the Indianapolis Colts will be close within every game. There'll be an opportunity to win the game. I just don't think Jacoby Brissett has what it takes to get that job done. I think the Colts are a well-coached team. We look at Frank Reich. He was with the Philadelphia Eagles when they had Nick Foles, another quarterback in our division, and led them to the Super Bowl. And guess where he was at? He was coaching up that offense. So I think he can coach up this guy, Jacoby Brissett. He's just got a two-year, $15 million a year contract from the Indianapolis Colts. So I think he's going to be highly motivated to go out there and sling the ball because he know a big payday is coming out and coming soon if he goes out and balls out for the Indianapolis Colts because they're in dire need of a quarterback and a franchise quarterback. I do think they will go 5-11. I think they'll finish last in the division. This is a team that's going to rely on the draft the next couple of years. They're going to have to build their identity with Frank Reich. Now that they lost Andrew Luck. But I think the Texans will go 2-0 and sweep the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. Interesting. A few things that I'm looking at when it comes to this Colts team, especially you got to look at where the strength was last year and how in that playoff game, Marlon Mack was able to run all over us. I think he was the first 100-yard rusher that we gave up all season. With the Texans losing Clowney, your premier run stopper, even though you don't have Luck, you still have that offensive line. Jacoby Brissett has been a problem for us historically under the guidance of Bill O'Brien. I think the overall, because you can't just replace Luck. I think the Colts are going to take a step back, but I don't think they're going to step back as far as a lot of people think. I don't think they're going to be the worst in the division. I do agree, like what Wink said, that I think Reich is the better coach than Bill O'Brien. I mean, he basically proved it. Being a first-year guy and making Bill have to do everything in his power to get the first win, which kind of fell in our favor. It really was in his control. And then the other two where he came out and basically dominated. So I think the Colts are going to end up maybe 8-8-ish. I think that Brissett is capable. Like, he's not that top-tier guy. I kind of go along with what Spitz says, in that Fitzpatrick guy can get you some wins. But I think the pieces around him on that offense are capable enough to pull a couple of things off. Again, like I said, I don't see them being that premier team. I don't think they're going to win the division. I see them kind of in a mediocre situation. Like I said, again, 8-8. That's kind of where I think the Colts are going to fall in the division, and I actually think they're going to end up being a third-place team in this division. And we'll get to who I think will be last here in a second. But let's go ahead and move on to the next team right now. All right, so getting into the second team in this division, in my personal opinion, the real rivals of the Houston Texans because of the history that has been based on and the fact that them hoes don't want to give us them colors. It is what it is. We ain't going to get into that. But we'll start off with why. We're going to talk about the Titans, man, and where you feel like the Titans improve, where they got weaker, and what do you think that they're going to bring to the table in 2019 for this AFC South division? What are your thoughts on that, Wise man?
I think the Titans improved at the quarterback position. I mean, when it comes to the backup quarterback position, they got Ryan Tannehill. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be a serviceable backup. I mean, the Texans did lose a lot of games to backup quarterbacks last year. We was in close games with a lot of backup quarterbacks. And Ryan Tannehill, I mean, even though he hasn't been a consistent quarterback throughout his career, he still can do some work against the Houston Texans secondary. I do like this team's running game. I mean, they do got Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry, he's not the fastest guy on the field, but he will run you over. They got, I would say at the receiver position, they got Corey Davis. Corey Davis is a guy that's coming into his third year, I believe. He's going to have to show out this season. He's going to have to develop. Him and Marcus Mariota has to get something going. It's Marcus Mariota's contract year this season, so he's going to have to ball out. If he does not ball out, the Titans are going to be in the same situation the Indianapolis Colts are in, and that's going to be finding a franchise quarterback. The thing I love the most about this team is their defense. They got a young defense. They got Adoree Jackson. They got Rashawn Evans. They got Harold Landry III. They got Curse. They got Curse. I mean, this defense is talented. I don't like Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler is one of the worst and overpaid corners in the NFL. But I think this team will go 9-7. I think they'll dominate the coast this season. But this team and the Jaguars always shoot it out, so I think those teams will split. And I think they wound up finishing second in the division.
All right, okay. Very interesting points. Wink, man, what are your thoughts on the Titans team? Have they done enough to step it up a notch, or do you think they've regressed, man? What are your feelings overall on the Titans this season?
This is how I feel about the Titans. Fuck them. Their uniforms are shitty. Their stadium is shitty. Their quarterback is shitty. Their offensive weapons are shitty. I have no respect for them. This is a team that we're going to more than likely sweep this season. I'm not worried about them at all. They did not get better. What did they get better at? They interior, they don't have no D tackle who's going to be able to move the pocket for Jarrell Casey, Harold Landry, and all of these dudes to eat. Yeah, Rashawn Evans and all these guys, yeah, they good guys, and they're going to be better going into their second years. Mike Vrabel, you really think he's going to be the dude to take them there? Oh, let's not forget about that bum of a quarterback that they got, Martis Mikioka. Whatever his name is, Miki Fiki, I don't know. But, like, that nigga sucks. He's no challenge to the Texans whatsoever. He never finishes a game outside of the one that he finished the second game in prime time when we blew the fucking doors off of their ass. Yeah, we're going to do that again. You realize it's a trend. The last few years outside of the year that Brock was here, that's the only close game we've had with the Tennessee Titans in Houston. Every time we play them in Houston, it's a complete blowout. And I honestly believe we go into Tennessee late. Deshaun gets it done because this is a team that we don't have to play early. We're going to end up seeing this team down the road. Derrick Henry is the only real threat to this football team. The fact that Jadeveon Clowney is gone on the opposite side of the ball. I feel if the rush defense can continue and they find a way to get it done without Jadeveon Clowney, the Houston Texans will be able to do phenomenal things, especially against the Tennessee Titans. So I have them going 8-8. No, actually, I have them going 7-9. I have them third in the division. And the reason why I don't believe their quarterback is going to be healthy enough, and I don't see their receivers being able to step up on offense, and their play calling is just as suspect as ours. So I don't really see them. I see them being a stagnant team on offense, but I see them being very physical on defense. I will give them that respect.
Okay. Spitz, man, Tennessee Titans. What are your feelings overall with this team? What have they done? Or have they improved? Have they regressed? I mean, where do you see them at in this division?
Okay, this is what I've assessed the Titans. Okay, I'm not going to go just deep delve into their roster, but just from a starting 22, from the starting 11 on offense and starting 11 on defense, I actually think that this team, we're gonna get to the one question mark in a minute, but I think that they are at least solid, if not good, on every front except for one key position. And I think they're probably more solid than a team like the Texans. We have offensive line issues. We have secondary issues. I actually like their secondary outside of Malcolm Butler because they have Kenny Vaccaro. They have more what you would call quantity. They got more pieces back there. Now, they might not have the same quality as far as Jacksonville with a Ramsey and things like that, but they got a lot of guys that they can throw out in different sets. Same thing with Evans and Harold Landry. They have a solid offensive line, even though I think that Taylor Wan's going to be suspended for the first 4 games. So that's something that's going to cause an issue. And let's talk about, I think they're running back is serviceable. Derrick Henry, I don't think he's, of course, not a Zeke or a Gurley or a Saquon or a Chubb, anything like that. But I do think he's in the next tier. He's not tier 1. He's like tier 2, tier 3 as far as a quality running back in the NFL. And Corey Davis, I really like A.J. Brown. I like A.J. Brown coming out of Ole Miss. I actually really like A.J. Brown. So it all dates back to number 8. Can Mariota get it done? Because we've had excuses. Oh, he's been in the league 5 years. This is 5th offensive coordinator. Things like that. He's never had weapons. This year, he has no excuse. If he doesn't get it done, they're going to be looking at probably getting either Tua or waiting on Trevor Lawrence. So this is either put up or shut up time for Mariota. And like I try to tell a lot of Titans fans, you don't let quarterbacks that you believe in get to the last year of their deal. You just seen Goff just get a deal. Carson Wentz got a deal year before. You don't let quality quarterbacks that you truly believe in get to a contract year. They would have signed, if they really truly believed in Mariota, they would have signed Mariota 2 years ago. But remember, this general manager and this head coach did not draft Mariota. Mariota was drafted before they got this general manager and before they hired Vrabel. So they're not married to him like the fan base is. But in all, no, I do think they got a lot of quality pieces, and I do think they'll be second in the division at 9-7. But it all depends on what number they can do because it's put up a shelf time, and that's just how I think about it.
I want to make a quick revision. I want to put them at 4th. That's all I had to say.
Well, Spitz took a couple of my key points that I wanted to address, and that was as far as, the Lewan situation and about signing Mariota. So that shows that, again, I mean, that's huge. This is a put up or shut up year for him, because if you don't let a quarterback walk, you don't give him that opportunity, you don't put him in that situation. He wants to be comfortable knowing this is where he's going to be, this is his home. So this is a year that Mariota's going to have to play. We made a very good point, because again, we all know as Texans fans, he comes with these phantom injuries that he just ends up, I got an elbow injury, I got a stinger, even though I'm suited up, but I can't play. But on the flip side of that, you said something about Vrabel, and here's my thing about Vrabel. We can go back and look last year. There were a couple of games that the Titans won that nobody had them in. I think Vrabel gets the most out of these guys. I think they respond to Vrabel. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a game or two this year that Vrabel wins. I mean, even with just look at the Texans and Titans game last week. Gabbert. I mean, they're willing to take some risks. That's the thing about Vrabel. They're willing to take those risks. I want to say, was it the Chargers last year? And if I'm not mistaken, did they beat the Pats last year? And so
4-10.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. The Texans have had issues trying to get over the hump with the Pats. So my thing is, I'm not going to count the Titans all the way out. But again, I think the big issue is Marcus Mariota. I don't think he's a guy that performs well under pressure. And I think he has not just the pressure that's on the field to deal with right now. I think it's the pressure of a job. I think that he doesn't know if he's going to be the man. I don't think he can deal with that. I think he's a fragile guy, not only physically, but I think he's mentally fragile. And so I think that's going to cost him some games in the long run. I don't think Mariota's going to be the guy for the whole season. He never is anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Tannehill take over those duties before the end of the season. I'm going to have the Titans, man. The Titans, to me, man, they might be about a 7-9 team in my book. I think that's where I'm looking at the Titans this year. And, of course, two of those losses will be against the Houston Texans towards the end of the year. I think that we do end up sweeping the Titans this year. I think we just have too many weapons. And we've seen even with lesser weapons, what this Texans team can do against that Titans team. If Fuller is healthy, again, the addition of Stills, if Kiki's available, even Carter, guys like that, we know that the Texans can put up numbers on the Titans. They can't stop anything that we're doing over here, especially with Deshaun Watson. So I'm not necessarily concerned about that. I think that we'll get both of those wins. I think we sweep the Titans. I got the Titans going 7-9. But let's go ahead and get into the third and final team in the division that we want to discuss today. And y'all know what it is. It's the Jags. Let's get to that right now. All right, man, so to get into this third and final team in the AFC South division, as we're taking a look around the division at the Texans' opponents, is the Jags. And the Jags situation over the last couple of years has kind of been back and forth, up and down. We know historically the Jags have reached some heights that the Texans haven't reached, but they've also reached consistency of lows that the Texans haven't reached. We've hit them here and there, but they've kind of been a bit more consistent in that. And so they went out and made some moves. And Spitz, I want to know if you think that these moves are going to make the Jags contenders, or are they going to make them pretenders? What do you feel is going to happen with this Jaguars organization in 2019?
To be honest, I think the Jags actually just made this situation worse. I think that they actually have a legitimate defense. Of course, we know the names. We know the Ramseys and the Bouye's and the Ngakwe's and the now they just drafted Josh Allen and things like that, Clea Campbell. We know all that. And like that defense is going to be a nice defense. It's going to be a solid defense, a very ferocious defense. Saxonville's like what they like to call themselves. But I think they're going to be extremely reminiscent of 2016, 15, and 14 Houston Texans. A solid defense, but still going to struggle offense because I know that they went out there and they signed Nick Foles and Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, and all those type of things. We cannot forget we've seen Nick Foles before. I'm not saying that he's going to be L.A. Ram with I forgot what the old buddy name used to coach the Rams, Jeff Fisher. I'm not saying he's going to be that Nick Foles, but he's not going to be Philadelphia Eagle winning the Super Bowl Nick Foles, because we can't remember when when Carson Wentz gets hurt. It was a couple games before the playoffs that Nick Foles did not look good. They get into the playoffs, they make the playoff run. There was no pressure because he's the backup quarterback. If he falls flat on his face, who cares? He's not supposed to be there. Carson Wentz was the one who the MVP leading candidate. He was the one who got them 13-1. So there was zero pressure. The season starts. Nick Foles, the starting quarterback, he falls on his face, and that's the reason why they have to rush Carson Wentz back into the starting lineup. Don't forget that Carson Wentz got rushed back into the starting lineup last year. He gets hurt again. There's no pressure, and he goes on this run. So, like I said about Jacoby Brissett, I think Nick Foles is a solid backup guy, like a guy you could put in for a stretch of 4 or 5 games, get a light little spark, win a couple games here and there. But you give him the full season, he's not going to get it done. I know he has a solid defense around him, but he's not going to be the Super Bowl MVP, which they paid him to be. He's not, and I think that they're going to end up finishing third in the division at 8-8.
So Spence has no faith in Foles. Okay, I ain't mad at you. Wink, man, your thoughts on the Jags and the moves that they made? Have they gotten better? Have they gotten worse? And where do they stand in this division?
Hell yeah, they got better. Like, Jesus Christ, you got Harrison, you got Ronnie Harrison coming into his second year. We're gonna see what step he's gonna end up taking in the secondary to take the place. The only true places with them that I feel that they're weak. I feel they're weak at their nickel corner, and I feel like they honestly, I feel like they get weak at right outside linebacker because Taylor Smith walked away for a year in the game. So I think that's going to be something we're going to end up having to monitor. If we end up going to that left side, we're going to have to take care of that left side and make sure that it's sealed off. And I'm not saying that we can't beat this team, because we essentially beat this exact same team last year. The only things that they're adding to this team that we have, well, I can say the offensive line was in shambles, but that's no excuse, because when we were in shambles, they were, they beat the shit out of us like they were supposed to, and we beat the shit out of them like we were supposed to last year. We held them to 7 points with this offense. And to be honest, I'm still not really worried about their weapons, especially when it comes to their run game, because Leonard Fournette isn't consistent. He's just not. I mean, he hasn't been consistent. He's like their best player on offense. I mean, besides Nick Foles, maybe, and you could probably add in a player like D.D. Westbrook. I know they got Marquise Lee and all these guys, but I said that Marquise Lee was going to be done before the season. Guess what? The bitch was. Shout out to Clarence, because we told him what was up with his football team, and we also on for Jagging Off and UCF, and they came to fruition. And, I know he going to want to put some money up and say this and say that, but we'll see when that time comes. But what they got better at, man, that front, man, is just it's ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous, and there's no reason that no front should be built like this. But that's what happens when you have a good front office. You have resources to spend it, and you don't mind putting in the money to make sure that you take care of business in the division and to other teams that you have to face throughout the season. Now, to Spence's point about Nick Foles, I do agree that I do agree with a lot of the points. But what I am going to disagree with him, think about each and every time he played against the Texans, whether it was 2014, before we took him out of the game, he was up. You saw what this man did to us last year with the Eagles, and the Eagles really didn't have that many options to really throw to outside of Jeffrey. And Aguilar made a play, but he wasn't a real threat throughout the game. Zach Ertz was a major threat, and they really couldn't even run on us. So the fact that you took the running game away from this man, he had over 50 times to throw the football, and the man put up over 400 yards against a Bill O'Brien-led defense. You mean to tell me if his options don't end up panning out, and a guy like DJ Chark takes that next step, who the hell is going to guard? If DJ Chark takes the steps, the necessary steps, the way we know this man can go, who in the fuck is going to guard him on the Texans? And that's what we have to worry about. I just feel he will do what he needs to do. He will dump the ball down. He will trust his running backs, and they'll be able to get some things done. Now, while I do see them being anywhere between, I'm torn between us and the Jags taking the division. As it stands right now, I really have them in I kind of have them in between that same spot that I have with the. I'm teetering between 10-6 and 9-7. I don't believe they're going to be able to pull off more than 11 or 12 games. Shit can happen. I just don't see it as it stands right now. I'm actually going to be moving the Colts back, so I have them second. I'm going to put the Jaguars at second, and I'm gonna move the Colts back to third.
Wise man, put some of that wisdom, some of that insight on the Jags for the people, man. What's your thoughts on the Jags this year?
I mean, it's like Spitz read my mind, because every point that I was going to make, Spitz already said it. I mean, I don't believe in Nick Foles, man. I watched this man for several years. I watched him come out of college. I seen him get drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was a bust. That's why he went to Los Angeles. The Rams. I think they was in St. Louis at the time. Yeah, they was in St. Louis at the time when he went to the Rams, and then they went to Los Angeles. He just got lucky. He got in the right situation. He got his groove going. You get those lucky strikes. I mean, a lot of teams won a Super Bowl with backup quarterbacks. Let's look at the Washington Redskins. Let's look at the Baltimore Ravens with Trent Dilfer. I don't have no confidence in Leonard Fournette. What has Leonard Fournette done to say he's been drafted number 2 in the draft? Nothing. He's a bust. As of today, Leonard Fournette is a bust until he proves me otherwise. This guy, Leonard Fournette, can't stay healthy. I mean, he didn't have the mentality to play in the games last season. They got too many egos on that team. When we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, we seen guys getting in brawls. We seen Ngakoue getting into it with Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler's not there no more, but we seen Ramsey calling dudes out. I mean, the team was in a disarray on the defensive side of the ball, so they do have chemistry issues. They have all the talent in the world. They got a young defense. They got a defense that can move. We already know what Jalen Ramsey can do, but also I know what Hopkins can do to Jalen Ramsey. So, I have confidence. I know what Will Fuller can do to A.J. Bouye. A.J. Bouye cannot guard Will Fuller. Will Fuller is too fast for A.J. Bouye. So I think this team, they're going to get some games won. They're going to have a lot of close games because that defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. But I think they're an 8-8 team. They're an average team. They remind me of the Texans back when we had that strong defense, like Spitz said. And we just kept rotating quarterbacks. I think the Jags are in a similar situation, and they're in fear of wasting that defense's prime right now. They need to get a quarterback in that situation ASAP, because I don't think Nick Foles is the answer. And when you look at their tight end, I don't even know who their starting tight end is. And when you look at their wide receivers, the only guys I like is D.D. Westbrook and DJ Chark. Besides that, all of the rest of the receivers are garbage. And DJ Chark still has to progress as a young wide receiver. He still has strides to go. And D.D. Westbrook is going to get at least 100 yards receiving on us each game. But I think this team will get one dub against us throughout the season. And this is the only team that will get a dub against the Houston Texans in this division this season.
Okay. So here's my thing. I think I'm going to go against the grain, man. I'm not even going to really mention Rams Fold, because I think that was a different day and age, and we all know what Fisher is, and we all know who Fisher is. And again, a coach can severely limit the talents of an athlete. We know from a guy who's pretty popular around here. We ain't even got to say the name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I'm not even going to put that all on him. I think once you have experience in a different system and you kind of see how things work with a quality team, I think that's important. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be, again, the Super Bowl, but I think he's an extreme upgrade over Blake Bortles. And Blake Bortles, you know and I know, took them to an AFC championship game. Fell a little bit short, a couple plays short. I think Foles is a big upgrade over that. Again, bolstering that defense, like you guys both, I think everybody pretty much mentioned Allen. I think he's going to be a problem for years to come. Not to mention the draft they picked up, a guy that we should have looked at, but hey, Texans are smarter. And Jawan Taylor, I think he's going to be integral. That offensive line, like we mentioned, was decimated last year, and we took advantage of that. If those guys can stay healthy, I think they provide better running lanes for Fournette. I think Fournette has a bit better season if those guys up front are healthy. Then I think they're going to give Foles time. And if Foles has time to dissect, especially a defense like the Texans, we saw what he did last year. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Foles is terrible. Again, you're not a Super Bowl MVP being terrible. Okay, you got to be of some relevance. Like Dilfer wasn't a Super Bowl MVP. Dilfer took him there, but nobody's sitting here saying Dilfer was the Super Bowl MVP. Nobody's ever going to say that. So my thing is, I don't see them. I like to go with the last known fact. And the last known fact that when the Texans saw Nick Foles, he embarrassed us. Period. Embarrassed us. Had his way with us. And until I see otherwise proven, knowing how I kind of feel right now about the Texas defense, knowing that we lost the premier run stopper in Clowney, I think these are going to be advantages for guys like Fournette and that whole offensive line as a unit. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Jags are going to be better than the Texans overall again, like I say, but they have a solid defense. Then you got to look at his Ramsey. What is Ramsey's mindset right now? Who is that? Jack just got paid? And Ramsey came out and said, Ramsey has no problem holding his tongue. He just said, hey, well, those guys got paid. I don't think they can afford all three of us. You know what I'm saying? Those guys that came out of his class. So, his mindset might be looking out for him. He might be looking out for no more. That may inspire him to ball out this season because he knows that he's going to be playing for some money somewhere else. Again, I think there's several factors, and go good and bad, like Wise mentioned about the egos on this team. If things don't start out well, if they start out with a losing record, say halfway through the season, I think they implode because, again, those egos will take over. But if they come out and they're dominant early on and they're winning games, then those egos will take over in a more positive fashion because they're going to use that. They're going to get real cocky and they're going to feel like they can compete with anyone. They're tired of that, getting embarrassed, losing, 13, 14 games a year. And so my thing is, to me, it's an unknown situation. I think it all depends on Foles. Foles had a situation, I don't want to really bring it up, but he had a very personal family situation this offseason. And I think when guys have things like that happen, it does something to them. And they go out, they get another level of energy, they get another level of something that motivates them. And so I'm not going to sleep on Foles this year. I'm not going to sleep on the Jags. I think Jags will be the team to contend with. I think, like Wink said, that will be the team to contend with in the division. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is a tough one with the Jags. With that defense, they can compete with anybody. I mean, that's the same defense because they put shutout Luck last year. We had all the problems that we had with Luck. I'm gonna put the Jags in the conversation. I'm gonna put the Jags in the conversation for a 10-win season. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I want to announce it, but I'm going to put them in the conversation for a 10-win season. I think, like I say, it's a slight upgrade, but if they could do something like what they did with Bortles, I think they can do it with Foles and do better. So that's kind of how I'm going to run with the Jags. But, that's kind of our views on that. But let's get ready to wrap this thing up, man. And we got a few more little points to make before we wrap it all up. But right after this. All right, man, so that's just kind of our look, here at South Sports again. Make sure you're following South Sports on all the proper social media. South Sports on Facebook, go like the Facebook page. South Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you're following all these gentlemen again. The links to each and every one of their channels will be at the top of the description below. So make sure you go and give all these gentlemen a follow if you like what they're talking about. But before we get out of here, man, Wise man, anything you want to say to the people before we slide out?
Yeah, shout out to all of Sauce Nation. I mean, I said the Texans making the playoffs. Y'all should be happy now. I want to say personally a fuck you to the Jacksonville Jaguar fans. Fuck you to the Indianapolis Colts fans. And a special double package fuck you on fucking Fridays to the Tennessee Titans fans.
For real.
I know they're going to be watching this video. Cool, I know they're going to talk shit in this video in the comments. Talk y'all shit, but I just want to say fuck you, and we'll see you that week, and we're going to talk a lot of shit.
We'll talk big shit, especially in trash can Titans. Man, Wink, anything you want to say to the people before we slide out, man?
Well, score 0-0 as it stands right now. We can look at some things with some moves that have been made. I'm going to be bringing y'all another video that's going to be quite surprising to Texans fans, especially if y'all follow South Sports. Be on the lookout for that very shortly in the next day or so. This season, man, is going to end up shaping into something either very bad or very good. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna really lean towards them. I'm gonna kind of back off of y'all a little bit because some of y'all been getting a little too salty. So we're gonna reel back a little bit of things, you know, as far as the realism goes, and we're gonna try to give y'all what y'all need, but we still gonna say what we want. So shout out to Sauce Nation. Shout out to the rest of these men who make the roundtable possible, especially, you know, the General Ed Honcho. Appreciate having him on the show. Look forward to doing it once again.
Already. Spitz, the oldest ingredient. What's on your mind, man? What do you want to say to
Oldest,
people? We
man.
slide up out of here, man.
Just in closing, I got the Texans who win the division at 10-6. Titans coming in second at 9-7. Jags third at 8-8, and the Colts ending the division at 7-9. And as if you notice, is a theme: quarterback. I got them basically rated on how I feel. I think the Titans have a little bit more talent, but their quarterback situation might be the worst in the division. And I just think that at the end of the day, that I think the Texans will simply win the division because of number 4. Even though I think the Texans probably have more holes than the other 3 teams, but they have the best quarterback, best receiver, and the best potential offense out of all these teams. So that's why I think in the offensive league, I think that they have the biggest potential to win the division. Shout out to everybody out there in Sauce Nation. I know some of y'all might not agree with my takes, but hey, it is what it is. Shout out to the boys out there in the round table, but let's get it.
Already. Some special shout out to Hector. Shout out to 10 Man. 10 Man been dropping me. 10 Man. Shout out to 10 Man. Shout out to Ray Man. Shout out to Derek. You know what I'm saying? And, man, like I say, appreciate all y'all, man. And like I say, shout out to all of these gentlemen. Shout out to everybody in South Nation. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting. All y'all who've been down since day one. All y'all who jumped on the train. A little bit late, but you're still great. You know, there ain't no hate. Whether you agree or disagree, man, it's all about the conversation. But with that being said, hey, man, South Nation, y'all boys be cool like y'all be cool. Y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. But most of all, y'all stay saucy, and we out.
Perfect.